Number 33, solve the following systems of equations algebraically for all values of x and y. So if we look, we have y equals x squared plus 5x minus 17 and x minus y equals 5. If you notice, you already know what y is equal to. Y is equal to x squared plus 5x minus 17. So I can go ahead and just plug that in for y in my second equation. So I'm going to write x minus y equals 5, but now I'm going to plug in that x squared plus 5x minus 17. So I have x squared plus 5x minus 17, close it, and that's going to be equal to 5. Remember, when I have a negative attached to my parentheses, that's a -1 that I have to distribute. So now I have x minus 1x squared minus 5x plus 17 equal to a positive 5. Now I'm going to combine my like terms, and if you look, my like terms are x and minus 5x. And 1x minus 5x is going to be negative 4x. So I'm going to rewrite this as negative 1x squared minus 4x plus 17 is equal to 5. Now, you can only solve these equations when they're equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides of my equation. And I now have negative 1x squared minus 4x plus 12 is equal to 0. Now, you cannot factor when there's a negative in front of that x squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to divide the whole side of this equation by -1, and I'm going to divide 0 by -1. So when I do that, negative becomes a positive, so now I have 1x squared. Negative becomes a positive, so now I have plus 4x. And that positive 12 is going to turn into a minus 12. And 0 divided by anything is just 0. Now, it looks like I can factor it. So I want to add up to 4 and multiply to negative 12. So I'm going to draw my diamond. Negative 12 goes up top. 4 goes down. I then go to my calculator and do y equals 12 divide x. And now I'm going to list my factors of 12. And if I look, my factors of 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. So now we have to figure out which one we're going to be working with. And looking at it, I think it might be my 2 and my 6. So I'm now going to plug in 2 and 6. But if we look, we want to multiply 2 and negative 12. 2 times 6 is positive 12. So I'm going to make my 2 negative and see if that works. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. Negative 2 plus 6 is 4. So now I have x minus 2 times x plus 6 is equal to 0. Now, whenever we have this, we t-time it. So I'm going to do x minus 2 equal to 0 and x plus 6 equal to 0. I add 2, and I get x equals 2. Minus 6, and then I get x is equal to negative 6. But if you look, we want to find the solutions of x and y. So now what we have to do is we have to plug those x values back into our equation. Now, if you look, my first equation's already in that form, y equals, so I'm going to use that one. So I'm going to make my line a little longer. And it's y equals x squared plus 5x minus 17. And now what we're going to do is we're going to plug 2 in for x, and then we're going to plug in negative 6 for x. So if we look at our first x value, we do y equals 2 squared plus 5 times 2 minus 17. I'm going to type that into my calculator. So I'm going to do parenthesis 2, close it, square it, plus 5, parenthesis 2 minus 17, hit enter, and I get negative 3. So y is equal to negative 3 when x is 2. So I can write that as the ordered pair, 2 comma negative 3. That's one of my solutions. Now I have to plug in the negative 6. Now remember, we have y equals x squared plus 5x minus 17. Everywhere I see an x, I plug in negative 6. Parenthesis goes on the exponent goes on the outside. And then take away 17. And now I type it in again. So parenthesis negative 6, close it, square it, plus 5, parenthesis, negative 6, close it, minus 17. And I get negative 11. So y is equal to negative 11 when x is negative 6. So now I write it as negative 6, comma, negative 11. And that's our final answer. 2, negative 3, and negative 6, negative 11.